Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, I am talking librarians. Yes, librarians. They were on the brink of being put on Arkansas's most wanted list for handing out books like Huckleberry Finn or To Kill a Mockingbird to minors. They would have faced criminal charges for providing minors with materials deemed harmful under new law Act 372 in Arkansas. But a federal judge stepped in, temporarily blocked the law, which is great. But had the law gone into effect, it would have held librarians and bookstore owners criminally liable for knowingly making certain harmful books available to minors. The banned books are books that, quote, appeal to a prurient interest in sex, lack serious literal, scientific, medical, artistic, or political value, and be patently offensive under community standards. This was the law. Now, the hold is temporary and the ruling is still subject to appeal, so who knows? Still might happen. And of course, this is spearheaded by Republicans, and the law was signed by former Trump spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But let me ask, Republicans' whole platform is about small government when it comes to public transit, student loans, healthcare. But they're fine with big government when it comes to jailing people for reading certain books, abortions, restricting voting rights, policing classroom discussions on sexual orientation. I mean, does this tell us that their whole platform is really about control? Or is it something else? I'm going to start with you, Robbie.
So this is happening in the USSR. The USA.
USSR.
Right? Because we're banning books to control ideology, to suppress questioning.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most egregious ones that I came across was a children's series called Captain Underpants.
Oh, yeah.
I read this series with my kids.
I love Captain Underpants.
Right? So it's just accusations that the main character is being disrespectful to authority, inappropriate humor. And the 12th book created an increase in censorship because one of the main characters, Harold, turns out to be gay. Okay, well, guess what? I was reading these books to a kid who turned out to be gay. Great. He had a character that he could identify with in the story. Go, that's me. I haven't told anybody yet, but that's like me. That's amazing. He's never told me anything like that, but I think it's so important for the children to see themselves in that literature. That representation really matters, right?
Absolutely.
Because it normalizes them. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. It was
the same thing for me with Black literature.
It's really funny to me that under the parameters, the criteria that they use to ban books, that the one book that they never want to bring up is the Bible. Because
your favorite
they use
book.
this as their moral guideline. This is where they're getting their values to then persecute and remove other books. So it makes me laugh because, oh, come on, like the Bible contains so many passages that depict violence.
They're making up
if you
their
want
own laws.
Actually, yeah, if you want to go back to their, let me go back to these quotes we're talking about. Let me go back to these quotes when it talks about sexual activity, prurient,
incest. Yeah,
yep.
There's plenty of that in the Bible. Yeah.
It lacks, if it lacks serious literary, scientific, medical, artistic, or political value, or
I take my snake advice on a regular basis. It can't be
patently offensive under community standards. Bible,
genocide isn't offensive. Come on,
I agree.
Exactly.
I mean,
but the Bible is a book
very
that's
dangerous.
Say it again, Johnny. What were you saying? I didn't hear you, Johnny. What did you say? I want to hear what you just said, Johnny.
No, I was just saying that I think the reason they keep the Bible is because besides their own agendas, I think the Bible, out of all the books, is one that can be interpreted differently, and that's why there's so many opinions on it, and people read it and take it probably literally, or they take it as
from a literary perspective alone. From the content, Johnny, it contains murder, it contains genocide, it contains incest. It contains themes that are completely inappropriate for children and young readers.
That's true.
They lack the critical thinking tools to properly go through this. They lack the historical context and knowledge to properly go through this. It's a dangerous book to expose children. It's more dangerous than most of these books that I see on the banned list. The US has over 50, almost 1,500 books on their banned list.
Hmm.
That's, come
I
on,
actually didn't
man.
know
And
that
some of them are
till
just,
this
it's
topic.
ridiculous. Yeah. And a lot of it
And
is based
okay.
on anti-LGBT sentiment. Most of the books on that ban list is because there are queer characters or queer themes.
What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, right. No, I was gonna go. That's a good point because I was going to say that it seems like they always try to act like a hero. Like we're trying to protect the kids from weird media, but it's like your real agenda is you want to protect them from discovering sexuality, and that's why their real target is like books about sexuality and things like that, and basically what we're going through LGBTQ, like they want to ban that type of theology. But I think that regulating books isn't necessarily a bad thing because, like Rob said,
Hmm.
the fragile minds of teenagers and young adults, say they read a book on sexual assault, or they read a book on like harming yourself or suicide. I think
No,
that
teenagers is
at that
different than young readers.
what do you mean?
Tweens
Minors.
and up, minors, to me, tweens and up, when you develop critical thinking tools and you are living in the world, you are aware of these themes. You may not be very familiar with them, but they are on your periphery. You've heard someone talk about it, you've seen it in
Oh yeah,
TV,
yeah,
you've seen it in movies,
yeah.
you've read about it
But the law was for
somewhere.
minors, which includes teens,
Tweens.
tweens.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous because
But
as they're developing their critical thinking, they need to be exposed to these ideas. That's when they need to be exposed to them.
Well, go ahead, Johnny.
I I think they should be exposed to the ideas, but when it comes to certain books, that's why I said regulating. You shouldn't get rid of the idea. Like you should never not hear about self harm or sexual assault. You should know that those things exist.
But
But
they're not
say I'm
necessary
reading
for
a book.
children, is what you're saying.
They're not first. Yeah, no, they're not necessary for children. First of all, no. But past a certain age. But I do think as a teenager, you should kind of be slowly put into that because there's certain books that I read that I feel like traumatized me. I'm not gonna lie, like certain books as a fragile mind, and if say you're already on the verge of suicide, I don't know, we could say that, right?
Mm-hmm,
I don't
sure.
know. Okay, say you're on the verge of suicide as a teenager, you have a weird lifestyle, and you're just on the verge of suicide, and you read a book about a kid who committed suicide. You know what I mean? Like you
You're
don't know
saying
what
it
kind
put
of
you on that.
state that can send somebody in.
I mean, but you don't
And
know
I
with
feel
any
like
type of
it's the
book,
same as
though.
games and the same as movies, like watching certain movies that you shouldn't be watching and listening
But you don't know
and
with
playing
any
certain games.
book. You don't know with any movie how somebody's going to react or respond to it. So
Or
I don't
interpret it.
know. I feel you,
No.
Gianni, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know.
I remember
I think
in,
they should be
I think it was
regulated.
grade 4, grade 5, we had a classmate whose teenage brother committed suicide. And the lesson that we got from the priest during the service was that AC/DC was horrible music that led to the devil and horrible ideas.
I mean, well, they could.
So
I can't.
I would
I
have
can't
appreciated.
I
So
cannot
I
vouch
would have
for this.
appreciated
Then
reading a book that dealt with the topic of suicide because it would have helped me understand it to be more empathetic towards my friend who lost his brother in the most tragic and violent manner possible.
Yeah. All right, here's my
So
thoughts.
there is value to those books and exposing children to those ideas. Death is a part of life, and unfortunately, deleting oneself is something that happens in every family unit.
Yeah. But the question I have is, you know, these law, who gets to decide what's harmful or not? You know, these are such broad definitions. Who's making those decisions? Who's making the call on what our kids can and can't read? History has shown us time and time again that when you ban books, it's a slippery slope. I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird was banned for its portrayal of racial injustice, and 1984 banned for its critique of the government and totalitarianism. And
Right.
but like Robbie said, these books challenged us, made us think, and ultimately made us a better society, I think. And then
Mhm.
and let's not forget there was a time when slave owners created a separate slave Bible removing references to slavery and uprising, and trying to attempt to control their slaves, because they knew the words have power and the power of ideas, and they did everything they could to suppress that power. So they didn't give them the Bible that Robbie was talking about. They gave them a watered down Bible to allow them to be continuously controlled. I mean, Robbie was saying, like the Bible has been manipulated over time to guide people a certain way. And words have those powers. So when we aren't able to hear alternative thoughts, alternative thinking, then, I will say, Gianni, protecting our kids is important. There are some themes that are not good for children, right? But the thing is, the person that needs to control that narrative is parents, not lawmakers. Parents need to be doing that. I mean, if you're going to be a lawmaker, maybe you make it easier for parents. Sure, go out and do a PG-13 type thing, R-rated, and you rate the books like you do with movies and like you do with video games. At least it's a guide for parents to make decisions. And then, you can say, hey, you can't give R-rated books. You can't sell R-rated books to a 10-year-old. Okay, I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that theme is not necessarily good for them. So, I mean, there could be a balance to that, but banning books outright and holding people responsible for whatever they decide is harmful, that's BS right there.
I don't believe in the absolute of either. I don't believe you should like completely ban certain books like you should, like they were doing. And I don't think you should like just all information, we should just take it in and filter it, because some people can't handle it. And we've seen the effects of people not handling certain media. So
the government definitely shouldn't be the one controlling it.
No. Get them out of here.
The government shouldn't be controlling it. Parents should be controlling it. There's some really great comments online. We've got Jacqueline Robinson. These people aren't well. They want a permanent underclass and a theocracy. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is ignorance on steroids. It's all part of a larger platform to keep young people ignorant. Keep in mind that she just enacted a law lowering the age for children to work in dangerous jobs. George Fournier, the world has gone mad. Jose, we are heading towards a society full of dullards. Dullards. Is that a Canadian word? Dullards.
Dullards? Does that mean?
I mean, I know what it means, but
I'm pretty sure it has its origins in the UK. Pretty sure.
All right. Is this truth, lies,
shenanigans?
This is shenanigans. I think
this is truth. It's scary truth, but absolutely born of shenanigans.
This is ridiculous.
Absolutely born of shenanigans.
they're trying to lock up librarians. Ridiculous. Oh God.
No, they're trying to lock up ideas, Johnny. They're trying to suppress ideas.
Yeah. Good one.
Point.
Control thought.
Good one, Robbie. That's very true.